Welcome once again to a Chef Knives to Go quick look product review. I'm Steve Gamache, and what we have today is the Ebuchi Shitogami or white number 2 Gyuto 210mm knife. So as you're going to see, this knife line consistently, they are thick, they are stiff, and they are heavy. So that's their particular style. The construction is 3 layers on them. The harder core steel is Shitogami or white paper number 2, reactive high carbon steel. Heat treat they target is around 61 Rockwell, but I think they do it by eye. The construction is on either side is 3 layers, and on either side of that harder core steel, you've got a reactive soft iron cladding. So it's an all reactive blade, cladding and core. And then that soft iron cladding has a Kuta-uchi or blacksmith finish on it. Then some frosting on the blade road, and it's got a very unique and interesting brushed, highly textured finish to it. We'll get a close-up look at that in a minute. So it's a pretty unique package. So, but as I said, these are fairly heavy, quite stiff, and that's just the style of the knife. The weight and dimensions might vary a little bit from knife to knife. This particular one is 7.4 ounces or 209 grams. Edge length is about 203 millimeters or right about 8 inches. Overall length, about 13.8 inches or 350 millimeter. Spine thickness, I said these were thick and heavy. It's about 4 millimeters coming out of the handle. And then about halfway down, it's still 3-ish. And then really does not thin up a whole lot. But you can see there's not a lot of distal taper there. What is the taper? It's really the grind. And the grind's not super high. So, this tip is not going to just goes through things, but it's got a lot of meat there. Same thing with the geometry on the blade. The blade's fairly thick all the way down, and then not a huge tall blade road on it where the grind kicks in back over the shoulder here. So, you're going to get some wedging and some harder product, but you'll get great food separation, really nice food release on these. So that's kind of their style. You always have compromises in knife design. Blade height on this is about 48 millimeters, so it's plenty tall. Lots of clearance for your hand, your fingers, and a grip. Handle is nothing fancy. It's just a good quality octagonal ambidextrous walnut with a black pacwood ferrule, nicely executed, pretty smooth construction to it all the way around. That's about 73 millimeters or 2.9 inches in circumference where the wood meets the pacwood. So pretty standard size for this type. You've got a pretty generous look here, or neck here for your finger. So there's lots of spot, room to put your finger there. They've kind of almost blended it into the bottom of the handle as well. And fit and finish on these is really quite well done. It's rustic, but it's definitely done with intent, and they put some work into it. So let's get a close-up look at it. So you've got what looks to me like hand-chiseled kanji. Looks like it's chiseled. It's a little hard to tell, but I think it's chiseled. And there's not a lot of tactile sensation to it when you put your finger across it. There's no raised edges on it, really. You've got this really cool textured brushed horizontal finish on it, and you can see it's got a lot of texture to it, so it's a very interesting look. Very deep brushed finish. Pretty heavy kind of sandblasted type finish on here where the grind kicks in, so you can kind of feel it with your fingers. It's got some texture to it. There's your core steel peeking out, then your shiny edge bevel. So this is the right side of the blade as you would be holding it using it. The left side of the blade is plain. Easy to see the core steel coming out there and the edge bevel shining back at me. They put a lot of work into the spine on these, and especially the choil. They've done a lot of file grinding work on both sides, so it's highly relieved. It's very comfortable. Out of the box edge, maybe 5 out of 6. Nothing super fancy, but you can get these quite sharp, being Shitogami number 2. Quite stiff. Let's look at I noticed all these blades I've got 3 of them, I think. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 3 of them. And they're really straight too. Very, as you might suspect with thicker blade, but they're quite straight, the blades. Here's our edge profile. So a little bit of a flat towards the heel, just a little bit of back buffer there towards the heel so it doesn't slam down. So a little bit of it flat towards the heel. Fairly aggressive tip, not quite as much as on that the bunkai I just looked at. But here's what it looks like on the cutting board. Lots of room for rocking. These rock really nicely, get really high. They've got a smooth profile. It's well done. No irregularities that I saw in the 3. They were quite smooth, no high spots, low spots. The grinds look clean. So, it's a heavy package and a thick blade, but they really put a lot of work into these, and the craftsmanship is quite high on these. So, very interesting line of knives. So, this is the Ebuchi Shitogami number 2 Gyuto 210mm knife.